Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Referee Show here on IslandsStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me at this current time is two of our international officials for football in Natasha Trott and Randy. Randy, what's going on? And Clinton Hayward, Randy Clinton Hayward. First of all, guys, congratulations. It was last week where we had the announcement that, or the presentation of your badges. Another proud moment for you, Natasha.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. What about you, Randy?
Always a pleasure to represent my country.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you guys because obviously it's not easy to be retained on this list. One of the most important things is to officiate when you do have matches to officiate at the highest quality, but also there are some things that you have to do, at home to ensure that you retain that to remain on the list. Natasha, let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you faced over the last few years in trying to meet those standards. I want a personal, how you personally overcome the challenges to get onto this FIFA list.
Yeah. So um, it's a long distance test to stay on the list. And I
Mhm.
have a sprinter's background.
Yes.
So fighting for my life every July, August, September, October. It comes around so fast, and just making sure that I'm in shape the hardest, is what has been the hardest to stay on the list. Um,
Mm,
I don't know. I feel I feel like I'm trying to be, oh, when I'm running the test, it's not natural for me.
mm,
But I have Randy that I always train with. We die together sometimes in training, and him and Stefan will run the test with me when they need to, or when I need them to. And
right.
I think the end goal is how I make it through. Usually when I'm running by myself, I'm like, Tosh, this is bigger than you. You gotta make it through. You gotta run, you gotta finish the laps. And then when it comes down to the absolute last time that I can run, I'm like, okay, seriously, it's bigger than you. You need to finish. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
think the people that I train with and my family really helped me to stay the course.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people will know, and well, maybe not, that you do come from that sprinters background. You used to run the one and the two. Um,
Exactly.
now, now you got to run. Now you got to run almost a marathon to make this. But
Exactly.
mentally, because
Yeah.
now you have to change your focus. Although you would have put in when you were sprinting, you would have put in a lot of time. But that's different training,
Hmm.
totally different training. So
It
how do
is.
you mentally change that focus to do what you got to do to get through that test?
Well, just the athlete in me. You have to adapt. Like things come at you in life all the time that are not what you're used to. So being able to just adapt to the situation, telling myself, okay, this is not, you're not a sprinter right now. You're not a sprinter anymore. You have to change the training that you're doing. The goal is not the same. You're not trying to run 10 and run an 11-second 100 meters. It's
Hmm.
you need to run for 25 minutes straight.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy, let me come to you because obviously there are some other challenges that give us your personal take. What's been the most challenging thing for you over the last few years that kind of keeps coming up when it's time to try and to stay on this list?
Um, for me, it's appearance, but when it comes to the fitness tests, normally I don't have a problem. I only had a
Hmm.
problem with it, I believe, once, but other than that, I don't see me having the running trouble with the fitness test. And
Hmm.
again, it comes back to the support that we have behind us, and wanting to change the narrative of Bermuda when it comes to the fitness test. They say we always struggle. So what John, I look at it as trying to prove a point to the world that when it comes to Bermuda officials, it's not the fitness test that's our problem. So I like to
Mhm.
prove people wrong. So that's my what you call it, what you want to call it. What I
Your
look
challenges.
to yeah, my challenge to pass.
Mm. And good evening, Stefan. Welcome. We're talking about the challenges of trying to maintain to stay on this list now. You've had probably out of everybody the biggest challenges through the injury. Pretty much every year you've had a injury that has prevented you from preparing, but somehow someday you managed to make it through. So take us a bit through that, how you're able to overcome those challenges of fighting through injury, just like a player.
Yeah, so my officiating career has been injury laden. Um, I've every time I got a system and I figured something out, I got an injury and it kind of resets the whole thing. I have to refigure it out. So I'm just coming up with new ways to overcome different because there've been different injuries each time, and the comeback from each one has been different. So it's almost like every time I figure something out, it's like okay, well, reset and do it a different way. So those have been the challenges for me. I just trying to get a sustained run, Ian,
Mhm.
has been difficult because something's always popped up. But this current run right now has been my longest run of form, so to speak. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying having some consistency, just a nice long spell of tournament after tournament appointment locally. But for me, it's hard to say that the fitness test has been a challenge for me because initially it was a challenge for me, and then I figured out the blueprint of how to pass it, and then it became routine. But then I got another injury and had to
Mhm.
reestablish that. But I think now, currently, the current run that I'm on now, I should be able to get back to passing it routine like I had for a minute there.
Yeah, okay. The matches in which you guys would have officiated. Natasha, many times these guys get to go together. You're a learned soldier. How is it? How are you able to maintain the quality when sometimes you're meeting up with some of these other ARs and referees for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it's been 3 years now, Earl. So I'm starting to see the same faces when I go
Mm,
to the tournaments, and I think CONCACAF is also starting to put s- um, some of the people that I meet together. So
right.
it's not always a new team that I'm refereeing with. Maybe one or two new people, but the ref I think this year I've had two new referees in the games that I've had.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is a little disconnect because at home I'm refereeing with Stefan and Randy and Amari and everybody else every week, and then I go, and when they get to go, they're together usually, and then when I go, it's just me. But I guess that is consistent because I'm always by myself when I go. It's okay though. It's not some big hurdle to get over when I get to these when I get to the games or the tournament.
Yeah, one of the things, and I know you have a lot of people in your family that are very active and into sport and so forth, but you've gotten out of the competing side and now you're on the refereeing side. What
Mhm.
has been your conversation in trying to not just family members but other females to get involved first and then have ambitions of doing what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation because like refereeing requires so much effort behind the scenes. I think that when I talk to people, I try to stress the opportunity that it brings, being able to travel the world for free, getting paid to do it, and then staying fit. That those are my selling points when I when I talk to people.
Yeah. Let me jump to you, Stefan, because you've had the opportunity to travel with Randy and so forth, but not all the time, especially when you guys are doing youth games, not all the time are you officiating the same match. But having somebody that you know from your country, how does that play over when you're doing a tournament, and you get a chance to reflect with somebody who's, who understands what your struggle has been and you understand their struggle?
Yeah, it's nice having that sounding board, so to speak. Somebody to talk to. Again, we don't have games together, but we're at the same tournament and we're in the same debriefs, in the same classroom sessions. And it's nice to have somebody to talk about the differences from back home and to be like, okay, are you interpreting it the way I'm interpreting it? Um, did you get from that session what I got from it? How we can implement it when we get back home? And it's nice to it's more like when you come back, you got two people remembering the information now. So when you're going over your debriefs and you're trying to relay that information to everybody back home, it's somebody else to help. He may deliver the message different from me. We have the same information, but he may deliver it to different from me. So it's nice to have two minds receiving the information and then also two minds teaching the information. And yeah, I think that's the biggest bonus of having two people at the same tournament.
Sure, sure. Randy, the chairman of referees, Mr. Williams, has had many of instructors on island of late, over the last few years. How much have they helped you and other local referees? I mean, you guys are the benefits of going off and doing international matches, but we see a bunch of young people who are striving to do the same thing. How much is these instructors assisting not just you guys, but Bermuda football in general?
It's a tremendous help, and it reflects, especially in like youth trainings. Um, Last Sunday with Rohan, you could see that all the youth was engaged, willing to learn. I even had a young one come up to me and says, "I want to take over the flag on the line. Would you help me extra on the side?" I said, "No problem." And I did mention it to Stefan as well. But like I said, I personally I think it's a tremendous help, and it shows. We just need everybody's problem really when you talk to them is the abuse that we get.
Mm,
And if a lot of people could broaden their shoulders and look past it, like some people, I laugh at people when they harass me on the behind me or after games and stuff because I find it funny.
mm.
But yeah, it's been a tremendous help.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because I mean, we saw a few months ago where in, I can't remember if it was Italy or France, where a president came on the field and punched a referee, knocked him out, and football suspended in the country. The government suspended football, banned the president, for long. That type of abuse went way past verbal, and talking with officials is like, what what do we do to make sure that something of this nature, mind you, we've already had it in Bermuda where an official was punched, but that was by a player. um, what do we do to ensure that this type of thing doesn't manifest itself in Bermuda? And I'll throw that out to you, Stephen.
I think that's difficult to say how do we prevent it because it's more of a culture thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think, and not a local culture thing, a football culture thing, the sport
Hmm.
globally. I think that's I think half the people come to the game to yell stuff at the referee, so to speak. Because it's just part of the culture. It's like baseball and peanuts,
Hmm.
and it's different. It just goes with the sport, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Which is why it doesn't phase me a whole ton. Um, because to me it's tree frogs at this point. Um,
Hmm.
you don't really hear it. It's noise there, but you can't really make out what it is, so to speak. How to prevent it is difficult. I will confess I haven't ever put much thought into how to prevent it, and maybe that's selfish on my behalf because the abuse doesn't bother me personally. So I
Right.
haven't invested much thought into how to stop it because when I go to a game, I'm kind of like I'm locked into trying to do my job and
Hmm.
thinking about the abuse and stuff like that. It's just drawn. That would, if I spent any time focusing on that, that would be drawn away from the focus I need to do the game. So I'll have to plead ignorant that I've never really given much thought onto how to prevent it.
Sure, sure. Natasha, let me ask you. So you hear the verbal abuse in Bermuda when doing international women's matches. Is it similar?
No, not really.
Mm,
And I don't know if that is due to the well, number one, a lot of the stadiums, the fans are not 5 feet away.
right,
So you
right.
you you don't hear it. But then also it's less people
Mm,
at these women's international games because usually you don't have fans, like hundreds of fans traveling to
mm,
see the game. But to go off of the question that you asked Stefan, I don't think that we can control what, and by I don't think we definitely can't control how people react at a game, but we can control how we train, the information that we take in, the videos that we're watching, all of the behind the scenes stuff to help us referee the game better.
mm.
That's probably one part, one way that we could help ourselves and help the abuse.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, we can't tell someone, I mean, we can tell someone, don't yell at us, but they're gonna do whatever they like anyway. So
sure.
as if we make sure that we're doing our part, getting the calls right as best as we can, then I think that is the minimum that we could do to help ourselves.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, we have, what are we, 24? 2026 is the World Cup, and it's at our doorstep. How do you plan to address that to see if you can actually, get a foot in the door? And I'll start. I'm gonna. That's a question for each and every one of you, and I'm gonna start with Randy.
Um, so I think we have everyone has an opportunity to get the foot in the door when it comes to World Cup. We just have to when we go on our international do this, put our best foot forward, make sure we are where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there, get the calls as correct as you possibly can. Take the feedback from not only our assessor but the team that we're working with. Uh, use our games domestically to perfect our craft as best as we can. And if we keep above, I want to say the passing mark is like 8 point. It starts off at 8.3, so you're passing already. So if we could stay up in the top half of say thousands of referees, why
Mm,
not?
mm, yeah. What about you, Stephen? Any ambitions, first of all, and then what do you need to do?
Well, I think you'll will know pretty shortly. Rather not what even earmarked to go because well they'll start inserting those people into tournaments like Gold Cup and
Mm,
you'll know based on the level of games that you're getting. No, rather or not, you're not going to jump from her to the World Cup. So
yes.
you'll be able to see, okay, this is another step up, this is another step up, and you'll be able to judge your trajectory from there. As far as how to achieve it and what are my plans are, um, with a lot of stuff in life, I just kind of work to the best of my ability, so to speak. Like I train as often as I can, as frequently as I can, or as often as life will allow. I study as much as I can, so I put in as much work as I can. Um, that way, anything I'm capable of achieving, I will achieve because I'm putting that work in.
Mm,
And anything I don't achieve, I'm okay with that. I can sleep soundly because I know I put the work in. The last thing I want to do is fall short of something and be like, man, you really had room to work a little harder. You had room for you could have done more.
mm,
So I say just fill the cup up with work, keep it to the brim, do as much as you possibly can. That way, if should you fall short of the World Cup, you know what, mate, you emptied your cup. You did everything you could to possibly get there. You didn't skip a training day. You didn't everything life allowed. You put that work in, and we'll live with whatever that turns out to be.
Sure, sure. Natasha, you got a little more time, but ambitions of a women's FIFA World Cup?
Yeah, actually, the 2027. I don't think that it is an unrealistic goal that I have. The men's World Cup in 2026 is it's not real, and it's also not my goal to do that right now. But the women's World Cup, yes, and then a youth World Cup before then. It's going to require lots and lots and lots of effort on my own end, and then the people around me to also to help me get there. um, yeah, consistency with passing when I need to, and um, passing theory when I need to, doing well at tournaments, going to finals and semifinals at tournaments, and getting high level games is the goal over the next 2 years.
Mm,
Hmm.
putting yourself in that position. Now, you know, when we look at a World Cup, and this has been talked about in many a places, um, and even I believe Mr. Williams said it on Thursday night that he's going to have a team of officials at the World Cup before we get a team of footballers at the World Cup. So that puts a little bit of pressure on you guys because I mean, when you look at it, um, he set the bar high for you guys. You've been jumping over the bar that's been set for the last few years, but now that bar is going to be raised because clearly, in order for other people to want to join to become an official, they have to look at someone to say, oh, and if they know you, they'll say, oh, I remember Stefan when he first started, or I remember Natasha when she first started. Now here she is on television, or here he is on television, Randy himself on television officiating at a World Cup or even at a Nations League, or the Gold Cup, something of that nature. I mean, do you guys realize the immense, not pressure, but what's been bestowed upon you as a leader in this? You guys are not the first to be on this list from Bermuda, but you're the latest, and it's been quite a number of years since we've had, yet let alone one. Now we have three, and you have Omari knocking on the door once he gets his chance at CONCACAF to prove that he should get his FIFA badge in officiating. So do you realize what's been bestowed upon you, Natasha?
Yeah, yeah, I'm still the first. And I would love to have some young females behind me. Um, it's it's a huge deal to be the first because you have to set the bar high. Even forget Cranston's bar. I have to set my own bar high
Hmm.
so that the people after me know what it's like and know what they need to do to get to where they want to be.
Mm.
I'm
Randy, I'm
excited
going to
though. I'm
jump to
I'm
you.
I'm I'm here for
Yeah.
the challenge.
Okay. Randy, I'm going to jump to you because you came on board. You got involved, but do you realize the immense challenge that's been put on you, not only by Mr. Williams but by CONCACAF, by FIFA, by being given this opportunity?
Well, starting with Williams, I kind of like his energy because he don't put nothing in front of you unless he knows you can do it. And I'm pretty sure, not even pretty sure, I'm 1,000% sure he has faith in all three of us, including Amari when he gets his bitch, that we can do what he said in the press conference the other day. Um, with CONCACAF, they changed the narrative on how to push the refs forward,
Mhm.
which I think the way they changed it to get on is a little harder, but they put the fundamentals in place to where they can assist you when you get there.
Mm.
Um, I don't think the bar is set too high because I have faith in all three of us that we will reach a World Cup when we're good and ready. Um, and I like challenges anyways. I like to prove people wrong. So
Okay.
I'm in it for the long haul.
All right. Stefan, what about you? Do you feel any added pressure?
Um, I wouldn't say I feel added pressure because I have a lot of internal pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Given my background and my career path, um, I always feel like I'm always chasing something, so to speak. But like Randy was saying with Cranston, there have been many stages along my career in which he's thrown me into something, and I'm like, bro, I'm not ready. What are you talking about? Like, go do such and such game or go do such and such tournament. Yeah, just go do it. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. We've like, there's been stages in which we've skipped steps. All three of us
Mm-hmm.
have skipped some steps where it's like, this is the level we're at, and he's thrown us into something that was her, and you're like, and then you go and you do it, and you're like, okay, maybe I could have skipped those steps. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's the teacher in him. Maybe that's his like, you know what? These we're gonna skip these three steps, and I'm just throwing you in there. And you go into it like I'm not ready, and then you do it and you perform, and it's like, man, I'm sure glad I didn't waste time doing those two steps because I would have still been back there, and this is where I am now, and this is where I should be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do feel a little bit of pressure now with Amari on the cusp of getting on the list. Not,
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say pressure, but I really, really, really want to work with Amari. Like I want us to be a team, um, because it would mean a lot to me for him to get on the list and me still be on the list. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to, after he gets on the list, I want to give him a few years of service, um,
Mm-hmm.
on the list. Like that would mean a lot to me to be his AR, me and Randy be his ARs for X amount of time because we work really well together. And to have that team would mean a
Mm-hmm.
lot to me. So right now, a little, I wouldn't say all my focus because I still have to work on myself, but there's a lot in me that wants to help Omari. It would mean a lot to me to help him and to be the AR that helps get him on the list, and to then also be his AR while he's on the list. Every
Mm-hmm.
time he does a game, we're talking because me and Randy are getting information from tournaments because the referees and the ARs are all in the same room. So, and we're all in the same classroom. So I have information that can help him. Now he's going to tournaments and he's getting that information firsthand. So I really view us as a team. Whenever me, him, and Randy are working together, this is a team, and me and Randy need to do whatever we can to help him do better, to
Mm-hmm.
assist him win the game, just as he's doing for us. He's doing things that are helping us make our jobs easier. So let's succeed as a team. Let's all try to help each other, make the job easier for the other person. Let's make sure we get
Mm-hmm.
everything right as a unit. So I really, really look forward to working with Amari, and that's been the new fire lit under me. Is the potential
Mm-hmm.
of working with him and what we can achieve as a team.
Sure, sure. Let's talk a little bit about the different levels of training because as well you would all know, I know, when you go to a tournament, you have your assessors are there, your fitness instructors are there, they put you through, a little rigorous test before the tournament starts. How much difference are those training sessions compared to the ones you have here, um, primarily when you guys are training amongst yourselves? I see Randy's got a big smile on his face, so I'll come to you last, Randy. I'll come to you last. I'm gonna start with Stefan.
Um, the, there is a big difference. Let's not try to sugarcoat it. There's a big gap between the level of training at a tournament and the level of training here. But that's also because there's a big difference in the level of officiating. In
Hmm.
Bermuda, we have a wide range of people at various levels, and we need everybody at every level. We're
Hmm.
struggling to fill officiating teams weekly. We need
Hmm.
everybody. We need nobody is more important than the next. Doesn't matter what level you're at. But unfortunately, because there's various levels in fitness and understanding, there's a wide range. You can't have the high intensity sessions that you would have overseas because that would leave two or three people who can't even get through the warm up. So they're not going to want to show up. You have to have the level here and slowly build it up. There has to be a range of levels in the officiating here, because there's a range of levels in officials. And in order
Hmm.
to make it, in order to be inclusive, you have to have that range of levels of training. So there is a range. Now, the onus is on us as individuals who need X amount of sessions at this level. You're not going to get that in the group session. There's only so many days in the week. So those of us who need a high intensity training session, we need X amount of those. The onus is on us to do those amongst ourselves, which is why sometimes we'll branch off in a group and train alone, because we can start the session here and go here where we wouldn't have been able to do that as a group.
Natasha, we'll go back to your sprinting days, and now you're doing these in high intense training when you go away. How do you find it? How do you find adjusting to it?
So just in preparing for tournaments, I think I do a little bit of extra at home. So I'll maybe work out twice in the day just to make sure that I'm ready for when I get to the high intensity internationally. It's not a horrible transition. I know what maximum effort looks like. So when I get there, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I can keep up usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I agree with what Stefan said. It's a wide range in Bermuda. So we're trying to accommodate to keep officials, but then we need to be working behind the scenes ourselves and putting in the extra that we need to make sure that we're at a level that is what we need to be.
All right, Randy, you had that big smile on your face. What were you gonna say?
The difference of what there is, you have more to her. We have three people for myself that will really push me when it comes to training. Oh, there, everybody's pushing you, including your instructors. So you have more people behind you pushing you, so you have to fight to stay up with training sessions. With me, probably the fresh training session away is not my best, but after a while you catch on and you keep where you gotta keep to. With Bermuda, because the numbers ain't as high, like I said, you gotta do your extras on your own time. And 9 times out of 10, me and Natasha would do training. Um, Stephen stays further than everybody, so he does his when he can on his own. Group sessions, we push each other. Like it's pretty much a numbers game. Is the difference really?
Okay. All right. All right. Well, before we go, obviously, I want to ask you, what's your personal ambitions? I know you talked about, when Amari gets on staff, and you talked about Amari, you want to give him some service, but give me your personal goals for 2024, and then trying to make that list for 2025. And I'll start with you, Natasha.
Yeah, one of my biggest goals this year is to get appointed to an international friendly. So the Olympics is this year, and I believe that the females that went to the World Cup last year, they have like an automatic entry type of thing to go to the Olympics. So it's less tournaments, but there's always friendly matches in CONCACAF. So my goal this year is to get on one of those games, and then I have some free time right now to train as hard as I can and as much as I want to. So the goal is to get to a level where I can be flying through the 10 laps with ease. Yeah, so those are my immediate goals for the year.
Okay. Randy? What's your goals for 2024, 2025?
2024, to try get appointed to as much tournaments or Nations League games as I possibly can. Um, Pick up something new from each of them tournaments to bring back and pass on with the rest. And to add on, and for 2025, add an extra pin to my blazer.
Okay. Because you got them all in this picture down on the left side.
Yep.
Steph?
Um, my goal for this year would be kind of combination of the two of them to pass the fitness test every time I take it. I want no failures this year. Um, and I want to start racking those up. I want to start racking up fitness tests where I've 8 of them consecutive, undefeated kind of thing. Just because my career has been so much like this, I want to
Mhm.
I want to get a steady trajectory upward. And then, like Randy was saying, I'm trying to get X amount of Nation Leagues games, and then I want to have good assessments after each game. I'm really trying to make sure that I stay locked in at these tournaments. Thankfully, I've been able to do so throughout my career. It's been up on the international stage. I get really good assessments, really good feedback. So I'm trying to maintain that as the games go up in level. I want my assessments to stay as they've be a really good assessment. Because what's the point of an appointment if you get back in your assessments like subpar job or just satisfactory job? So
Mhm.
that's my goal. I want to hear 5 or 6 times an assessor say really good job, excellent job, and obviously you want feedback on how to work, on how to get better, because they're always, it don't matter how good of a game you have, they have to try to find something for you to work on. That's always going to be the case, and to work on those things. But yeah, it's my goal to
Yes.
have a lot of good assessments.
All right. Well, I want to thank the three of you for joining this evening. Again, congratulations on those badges, and we look forward to Amari joining you guys on that list come next year. I know you guys will be pushing him, and you'll be pushing yourselves to also re-qualify yourselves. I would encourage you to work as much as possible with each other, and those young people that want to try to work every once in a while, one of those intensity training sessions that you guys do, encourage them, and see just to see where they are, and let them know that I once was where you are, and look where I am now. You know what I mean? But in order to get that level of improvement, they always have to go through it themselves. To try and challenge themselves as well. And I'm pretty sure there are a few youngsters that will say, "Let me try it and see where I am." So let's encourage those young people and encourage a lot more people to join the referees, because as you said, it's been a struggle to have matches played in a week because you just don't have enough bodies to do so. You have enough bodies complaining, but we never have enough bodies to help officiate these games. So I would encourage you guys to just encourage people to pick up the whistle, pick up the flag, come and join a class and see what it's like. Learn the rules, and maybe we will have a better time on a Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Thursday, or anytime there's a match being played. All right. So again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll have another referee's corner next week Monday. Enjoy your night. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Earl.
you.
Thank you, Basin.
All right.